Hello everybody, it's Ask the Club time on Social Club on Ball Street on Monday. Welcome. I'm here with Flav and Jack from Talk Norwich City, and we've got your questions. We asked you, and we do ask you every single Monday on Twitter to get your questions in, and we'll answer them, and we're going to do that right now. So straight into it. Chris Parker, at Chris Parker, has the art of defending died? 31 goals were scored in the opening day, which is quite a lot. A big talking point was set pieces in particular with Liverpool, and who else was it? It was Arsenal as well. Has the art of defending died? People feel that there's less like world-class centre-backs as well now. Is that just the way that football's kind of evolved?
Yeah, and I'm glad defenders died. Who gets excited about seeing like a good defensive header away? But who gets excited about scoring goals?
Yeah, I guess so. But when you're defending, it's nice, isn't it? And there's a wall of Richard
If you
Dunn
can score more, that's always good as well.
True.
But you do need to score more, and that is a big factor.
Yeah, there were a couple of 0-0 draws this week.
True. I think it's harder though.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
I think defenders now have to be more. They have to be better on the ball, and so whereas back in the day you had Colin Hendry, who was just like get rid of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he could be hard, and because you could also leave a tackle on someone. Whereas now they're so good on the ball. Football's turned into netball, isn't it? But you can't make a tackle anyway.
But let's not. Leicester won the league by being dogged and defensively sound and not that entertaining.
Still bitter about that.
Yeah. And I think it's damaging to football. I think it's damaging to football, wasn't it? Because come back to me. I've lost my mind.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's just move on to the next one. So actually, quick answer then. Art of defending, has it died? Do you think it has?
Yeah, and I'm glad it has.
Okay. I agree actually. I think there's very, very few
I don't think it has.
defenders that just walk through games now. Actually, apart from possibly, although even Spurs, you've got an amazing back four there, but you've got the ball most of the time. Alderweireld's right up there. I do proper rating.
Yeah, well, I'll just say if everyone's given up on the art of defending and Spurs are not, clearly, because we've got another clean sheet, then that's fine.
Okay. Alex Thomas at Alex Chris Thomas. Just put his middle name in. Just throw it out. Fair enough. How important is the Spurs game next week in terms of the title race? Chelsea lose and they're already 6 points off the top.
What was it? They beat us by 8 points last year. Is that right? Is that right, Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 points. So it is. I mean, that's big. That's almost like a 6 point lead on them. But no.
Is it even bigger because it is at Wembley?
I think obviously we don't know. A lot of people are holding on to the fact of how well Spurs will perform at Wembley. Because,
2 wins in 10.
Yeah, 2 wins in 10. Does that include the one against Juventus? Yeah.
No friendlies involved. Right?
Well, was it friendly? Don't know. Debatable. There is issues around and things that the ghosts that we have to put to rest there, and it would be a great way to do it is if we manage to get a result against Chelsea. I'm quite excited about this season, but it could be. I am naturally a little bit anxious about this Wembley thing. Yeah. I think we will get over it. I think Pochettino's a good enough manager to negate any issues that might come up, but you are giving away your home advantage. But if we beat them, it just adds more pressure on Conte. That's the issue. So it is a massive thing. I don't think it will ultimately dictate where the title goes to. That is madness. We're literally going into the second game. But the problems it causes Chelsea, given the fact that there seems to be some issues there with Conte, it's not going to be great for them if they lose, and it would be great as a Spurs fan to put that extra pressure on.
The boost that it will give you will be huge. I think that's as big as anything. Was it 90,000 capacity?
Yeah.
And Chelsea got 3,000 tickets, haven't they?
Yeah.
So you should be able to make a decent amount of noise, hopefully. For a game like that, you'd be up for it.
Yeah,
surely.
Hopefully that's not the way it works. And how many of those fans that are going in there as Spurs fans? That's a different social. We could have talk all day about that if you want. But yeah, you'd hope so. What they've done is move all of the stadium from White Hart Lane into the bottom two rings, pretty much.
Right.
Hopefully the atmosphere will be good.
Okay. Albin the Albino at 50 Shades of Hendo. Which teams had the worst window so far, and which team do you expect to have had the worst window come September 1st? Jack.
I think Newcastle. I'm going for a slightly different option here, but I think Newcastle when they got promoted last year, they had a fantastic opportunity to really build. You've got a very rich owner there in Mike Ashley, and you've got a fantastic manager there in Rafa Benitez. You chuck money at Rafa Benitez, he will get the players that he wants, and they could have really kicked on. unfortunately, what business have they done? They brought in Jacob Murphy, who was a half-decent Championship player for us last season.
Is he going to make any difference for them?
No, not at all.
Really?
Not at all. And they haven't really done much else.
Well, Atsu.
I guess you're hoping Atsu does something for them, definitely.
But bringing in Murphy and Atsu
It's not enough.
is not really kicking on. Yes, they had a great team in the Championship last season, but there's a hell of a step
such
up.
a gap,
a hell of a
isn't
step
there? Yeah,
up.
massive step up.
And you look at Murphy, and he was a decent player in the Championship last season, but he's too lightweight for the Premier League, and I don't think he'll do great. So I think more of an opportunity missed for Newcastle, because I think they really could have built something special there. I'm not saying they can't now, but I would have thought Benitez is thinking, well, how far could I take this
Yeah.
under Ashley? And if they lose Benitez, who do they get in then?
Yeah, I watched the game yesterday, and I looked at it and I thought, God, it is that. There's this gap between the Championship and Premier League. There's this like foyer where players go and live, and where if they're in the Championship, you go, they got Dwight Gale.
Yeah.
And then when you watch him and you see Dele Alli on the pitch and Harry Kane on the pitch, you go, is Dwight Gale going to keep him up? I'm not sure. There's a lot of players who are kind of in that. Yeah,
And it's not like you're not given the finances to go and do the job. They've already done the hardest thing, getting a proven manager with pedigree to not only when they got relegated, which was tough for him to keep them up season 4 last, to then get him to stay in the Championship. So you're right, yeah, they have the manager there. Give him the money, 100 million, 150 million, whatever it is. Go and let him buy the players he wants. If that's not what's happened, and let him go on. So Newcastle's a good shout, I think. I think they'll go on.
I just think that relationship between Ashley and Benitez is only on the decline.
Yeah.
And I do worry, because I really do want to see Newcastle do well, and I think they've got everything there that they need to do that, and they're just not utilising it for whatever reason. And that could only come down to Mike Ashley. He's hardly been the best owner, has he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to look past Tottenham for the worst, because we've not even been in it.
Yeah, you haven't stepped into
All
the
that's happened
arena.
is we've sold a few players.
You're looking through the window.
Yeah.
But did you need to do anything?
But you could always do something.
You could have lost more players as well in this window. That's true.
That's
Dele
fine.
Alli, you could have lost Kane somehow. You could have lost Dyer.
That's true.
So-
All right, maybe not Tottenham. Move on.
Things are fine. Things are
Everything's
fine.
Yeah. And yeah, Chelsea in terms of the players that they've let go, I think they've had a bit of a nightmare.
Liverpool got to have a shout, don't they?
Liverpool will be right.
Have we got
there.
another question about anything to do
We're
with Liverpool?
talking about Liverpool
Right.
very, very soon, so don't worry. But yeah, they've missed out. Well, Van Dijk so far. Yeah, this guy as well, which we're going to talk about, obviously. Yeah, just haven't referred to the picture yet. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. Right, where are we? Last few. Just a quick one there, because Jack, you might feel this pain. AJ Corbett at AJ Corbett 97. How come when the bigger clubs drop points against so-called lesser clubs, there is no credit given to the lesser club?
Because the pundits don't know about the lesser clubs, and it's a lot easier to just talk about the bigger clubs. Do you remember when we beat Arsenal 1-0 at home due to I think it was a Fabianski howler? They blamed it all on Fabianski when it was actually Grant Holt's movement into the box.
Yeah.
And I did feel pain from that.
And people's legacies they could have been formed there.
Grant
They're
Holt
being
could have got an
missed out.
England cap if he was bigged up a match of the day. He didn't, and that ruined his career. So thanks, match of the day.
Okay, you had me up until that last sentence. Nelson and Saha, at Nelson and Saha, after one game, who do you knee-jerk fear for the most? Give us your knee-jerk.
Knee-jerk fear for West Ham. I feared for them before, and I don't think they've signed nearly as well as everyone says they have. Hernandez is a good striker in a good team where lots of opportunities land his way. He's not a striker that creates a great deal. His movement, he's relying on supply of other players is necessary for him to have a successful season. Joe Hart isn't a good signing as a goalkeeper. Probably the most error-prone keeper I've ever seen.
That's
apart from Hilario Gomez. I called the errors that he was making when he was like hyped at City.
Why was he hyped at City? Because he was good. It's just like the Rooney thing. You don't just become
Who's this, Gomez
crap.
or Hart?
Joe Hart.
He didn't become crappy. He never was that great. It's just that he was in the City side. He was an English keeper in a time when they were signing every player under the sun. He had a couple of good games, like amazing.
What, over a
amazing
10-year
shot-stopping.
period?
And you know what he's great at as well, which always looks good, is coming out and being big.
Yeah, that
and
is good.
saving
That does
like
look good, yeah.
Right, it does look good. But in terms of just his error, you look at the amount of errors he's caused, and the goals that have come down to his inability to handle the ball properly.
I think it's. So, I
But
don't want
it
to get into a
isn't
Joe
though,
Hart
because he's at West Ham and he's been at Torino. If he was if he was not the player that I thought he was, then he wouldn't have spent the last 2 years or the last year and the year before that to some degree.
I bet he wins Player of the Year. I bet he wins Player of the Year for West Ham. I bet he has a great season.
How much do you want to bet?
I will bet
£20.
that doesn't seem like fair odds to me. Because there's a lot of other people who could win. You know, Von Arnautovic scores 20 goals.
All right.
We'll talk about it after.
All right.
He'll have I wouldn't be surprised if he got Player of the Year. He'll
So
save a lot.
the son Arnautovic as well, who I love to bits, but is he going to do it for you on a wet and rainy night up in Stoke?
Which he has done previously.
Well, did he though?
Yeah. I'll go Palace. No, was this? Yeah, I fear for Palace. So I'm trying to remember what the question was. I fear for Palace. I think there's a lot of change, both in the sort of the philosophy of how he wants to play, and I think if they're like down there in November, then people start to get nervous again. Parish has done it before; he'll do it again.
There's a guy, Matt Weld, go and subscribe. He did an away day vlog at Palace, and they got one geezer, and he goes, if he loses the next 6 games, he's got to go.
That's it.
You mean if he loses his first 7 matches? Yeah, he has to go.
But I mean, Mark Hughes survived for 14 without winning a game, or winning 1 game in 14. So and maybe he'll get more than 7. But I think it is tricky with the players he's got.
He's got some good players.
He's got good players. And but losing 3-0 at home first game of the season to a newly promoted team, not a good vibe.
Yeah.
And finally, this is the big one. Is this? So this is from. I haven't got his name on here. Sorry, but is this the most important week in Liverpool's season? Of course. Coutinho's handed a transfer request. I've got. Did people care about my £100 bet? Do you think, Flav? No.
I care.
It was symptomatic of what Liverpool fans were thinking. There was no way.
There's no way to go. Yeah. So anyway, I won't tell you about it. Don't worry. But yeah, this is a massive week for Liverpool. They've got Hoffenheim in the Champions League qualifier. That's a tough draw for them. And then they haven't signed Van Dijk obviously yet. That was an area that they needed to improve on. Coutinho looks like, he desperately wants to go, it seems now, which has been a massive U-turn, and what was the clear message from Liverpool throughout that he's not going and he doesn't want to go. But he's handed a transfer request. It's not looking good at the moment. Keita, that's one that Paul's saying was never going to happen, but at one point in the transfer window looked exciting for them. And now, if you'd lose Coutinho, you don't get a centre-back that's better than Matip and Lovren, you'd start to be a little bit nervous about what they're going to do for the rest of the season.
It certainly seems like they're going backwards rather than forwards. The thing I don't understand here, though, is why they're just not accepting a bid for Coutinho. It's evident he doesn't want to be there. If anything is causing unrest, and when there's nearly £100 million on the table for a player who's worth 50, surely you take it. Yes, Coutinho is a fantastic player, but at any club, at any level, if you've got players there who don't want to be there, you let them go. He's replaceable. And with £100 million, you could do probably a lot better than Coutinho.
I mean, I'm sure they're looking for his replacements. I'm pretty sure that they're not just thinking we're going to make him stay and make him play.
But it seems like it's just prolonged. It's just so long, and they could have been doing business either with this money or just getting things done earlier and implementing that early on in the season.
If Coutinho leaves this week or next week and they have a bad result against Hoffenheim, there's going to be a lot of...
But that's why I think it is such an important week for them. So yeah, to answer the question, I think it's huge because he has to go this week. He needs to go this week if you want to go and get the next person in quickly. Well, I don't know who this next person is, by the way.
Certainly, if Barcelona are looking to buy other players, and they've been absolutely mentally. They've had the worst transfer window.
Yeah, Paulinho.
They've lost now Neymar and signed Paulinho, who I can say categorically, because I watched him for like 18 months at Tottenham, is among the worst midfielders I've seen at Spurs. That's probably been a little bit harsh, but it's crazy that he signed him for Barcelona. Madness. All I can say for him, and this came from a good friend Bardi, he creates chaos.
Paulinho.
That's all I can say.
Is the Coutinho thing? Is that partly it, that it doesn't matter how much it costs because it's the fact that you haven't got a replacement that you can bring in, and therefore you're not going to get in there. You know, it's such a competitive top end of the league. You're going to struggle to get in the Champions League.
It wouldn't have been in their plans that Coutinho would go in, and most football clubs, and I imagine a club the size of Liverpool, and with the infrastructure, they'd have had a plan of how they wanted the transfer window to play out. And the fact that Coutinho's more or less said, I want out, that's going to be difficult because they've got a short amount of time to identify new targets.
I just feel like Liverpool have already quite a lot of strength in their forward positions, and I just think if you lose Coutinho, yes, it's going to be a big loss, but I feel like there's players who can step in there, maybe not and do as well as a job as Coutinho, but with the money that they'd get from him, if they can bring in another defender and maybe another midfielder.
Bring back Jay Spearing.
He could do a job. I think
David
Go,
stick him up top.
What would be worse, going out of the Champions League to Hoffenheim not this week, obviously, got the second leg, or losing Coutinho, not getting a replacement? Which one would you pick?
So stay in the Champions League.
So you make it through, you're in the Champions League, but you lose Coutinho and don't get a replacement, or you stay or the other way around.
Surely it's getting into the Champions League. Surely,
because he's gone.
Surely
he's gone anyway. So whether he stays.
But if he stays till January. You've got a better chance of getting out of the group. You've got a better chance of being in those next bits, and there's a lot of money to be made there.
You've got a player though. If even if you do keep Coutinho, you've got a player here who I'm not sure about every Liverpool fan, but you're going to have a lot of fans who've already turned against him.
Yeah. Not this one. This one's very good ingenuity as well. Here, it's a bag.
Yeah,
that was a bag.
That's the only thing I like about that picture.
Quite a clean rip as well. That could have gone horribly wrong. Respect him for that.
Yeah, I've got a bit of an issue actually with fans that beg players to stay. It's like, where's your dignity? This player, Coutinho, and the same for Spurs with Danny Rose, just for a bit.
But he's apologised. That's fine.
That's all okay. But we've had it so many times. Berbatov, Modric, and whatnot. You don't beg these players to stay at your football club. Your club, I know it's a cliche, but your club is bigger than any player. Liverpool is bigger and has gone through so much stuff that to beg someone like him, Coutinho, who's been there 3 years, signed for Inter Milan, is not a Liverpool fan. To beg him, say please stay because you're good. It's not. You got to bin that. You realise you're a Liverpool fan. Your club is much bigger than the whims and desires of Coutinho or any other player. So don't beg players to stay. You're better than that. Or maybe they ain't. I don't know.
I think that feels like that's a nice little final thought to wrap up there. Do you agree with Flav? Or do you think if enough of you go, get a little bag, write something on it, please stay, that you might stick around? Let us know in the comments below. Is this the biggest week in Liverpool's season? Let us know in the comments below. Work experience Liverpool fan is shaking his head. Do you agree with him? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. Get involved with Ask the Club every single Monday. We put the tweet out on Twitter, obviously, and you can get your questions in and we will answer them on the show. Next week, I think we're back up north, so don't worry. There was no party this week. But those guys, I'm sure, will be back next week. Jack, thank you very much, mate. Talk Norwich City. If you're a Norwich City fan, go and check them out. And if you're not, he's got one of the best voices on YouTube. Just soft and
more shirts like this as
beautiful.
well.
Not soft, that's the wrong word. And more shirts. Yeah, the 92-93 kit. In
so
particular.
there's no Norwich fans watching this. I think we can probably gather that. So
well, you don't know that.
Just come over and
say hello.
Yeah.
So that's it. Subscribe to Ball Street, and there'll be loads more content coming soon.